Apparently there's a package from Scott Sandage back at my hotel. Hopefully there'll be more information about my great-grandfather's later life. I'm actually curious to know when he married my grandma Jesse's mother, Elizabeth.
It's just arrived.
Perfect, thank you.
My pleasure.
Dear Jesse, as promised, I am following up with further research on your great-grandfather. Our team was able to push ahead and dig up further information on Jesse Uppercue after his return from the 1898 expedition in Alaska. Okay. Uppercue, Jesse. Wow. Following his return from his Alaskan Klondike expedition, Jesse shows up in the 1900 census living in Brooklyn, New York with his wife Sadie and daughter Muriel. That's someone new I haven't heard of. And then they were divorced 7 years after that. So there's now 2 ex-wives and 4 children that he's fathered that we don't know too much about. Beginning in 1900, Jesse Uppercue is consistently featured as a speaker for the Republican Party in New York City's municipal politics. Wow. At one point, he is even scheduled to speak at a welcoming parade organized to celebrate the soon-to-be Vice President Teddy Roosevelt. It's interesting here that he was very well revered in the Republican Party and was someone who was probably a very good speaker and very charismatic. This is arguably the most publicly spirited of his many endeavors, and it speaks as well of him as anything we've turned up. It almost is like he turned over a new leaf after leaving Alaska. In July 1914, Jesse Uppercue and Elizabeth Quigg, now there's my great-grandmother, Elizabeth Quigg, are married in Suffern, New York. Jesse is listed as 64 years old, and Elizabeth is 27 years old and listed as a widow, married once before. Elizabeth is so much younger than him. The same year of their marriage, Jesse legally adopts Elizabeth's children, Grace and Dorothy. Oh, wow.
So then they had my grandma Jessie.
Jesse Uppercue and Elizabeth Quigg are divorced in November 1925. Jesse Uppercue shows up again in a 1930s United States Census living in Rockland County, New York. He is the head of the household, with his daughter Grace, 21, a teacher, Dorothy, 18, Jessie, my grandma, 14, Elizabeth, 11. There is no mention of a wife living with him. I don't know where Elizabeth Quigg went, but when they divorced, the girls went with him. He didn't turn his back on these girls. He continued to take care of them as his own. And this is kind of the first time he stepped up. I'm proud of him. There's still a lot of unanswered questions. I still in my heart of hearts feel like he got away with a lot. But being able to get a blueprint of where you came from definitely starts to color in some questions about yourself. It's mostly the good stuff that I'm pulling from, his drive and his creativity and the fact that he was strong-willed and maybe a very good actor in a lot of ways. Maybe that's something that I learned from him. And whether or not he was guilty of any of these things he was accused of, I do appreciate that he became an honorable man and seemed to have made roots with a family. My grandmother was one of the greatest people I've ever known. I'm very grateful that he was around and able to raise her. I guess I just wish that I knew a lot of this stuff earlier when my grandma was still alive, so I could talk to her about it and ask her questions about it. It just makes me sad.